It's now my pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, who you all know, Judge Barbara Howe, last year's Jekyll recipient.
Thanks, everybody. We thank everybody. I especially thank Eileen Fleischman, who once again put this all together. And shortly we will begin the program as Eileen put it together for us. However, before that, we have a special guest who left her post at the Weather Bureau and the Storm Station to say a few words for us because she's a big fan of our honoree, Anne Evenko, and that's Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good afternoon, friends. Boy, it's nice to be out of that big, bulky coat I was wearing the last week. And also, Judge Barbara Howe, thank you so much for accommodating me. She said if you can just slip in here just for a minute, we'd love to have you. But it's a lot easier trip this year than it was last year when we traveled to Manhattan to honor you. And what a phenomenal celebration that was. I could not have been prouder. And certainly there are Buffalonians in the room, but a lot of people from New York City and around the state. And I got a chance to brag about my good friend Barbara Howe last year. So again, congratulations on last year's recognition. And to the dean and the provost and many of you recognize here today, I just had to come here because of Anne. And I don't know that she realizes the effect that she had on my life. Back 1991, she was involved in the YWCA and the Institute for Public Leadership. And I was just this, activist out in Hamburg, and I was always working on people's campaigns. And I found out about this program for training. And there were two tracks, right, Anne? There was the candidate track, and then there was the campaign manager track. And I swore I was never going to run for office. So I took the campaign manager track back in 1993, and I had a chance to meet Anne and a lot of visionary women who created the opportunity for other women to find out what it's like to run for office. Well, a year later, I got the guts to run, and the rest is history. But Anne was there at the very beginning, and I want to thank you for opening so many doors for women like me with your leadership, sharing your talents, inspiring us. And even today, and there's so many things you've done, but also your work as chair of the board of the Western New York Women's Foundation. They are changing people's lives every single day, and I am so proud to be here. And so I wanted to recognize you, but also UB Law School. I feel like I'm an alum, and I think you've sometimes heard the story how I chickened out of going to law school there. I spent 4 years as an undergraduate at Syracuse University. I couldn't take the weather beat me down anymore, which is kind of ironic. Today I'm in charge of the weather. So I got accepted at UB Law School, sent in my first check, and it snowed June 3rd, 1980. You can look it up. And I said, I can't do this. I looked at the schools that accepted me. The furthest one south was in Washington. I said, I got to go. And I started one. But I had the wisdom to marry someone who graduated from UB Law School. So my husband is my surrogate connection. And poor Bill, he was stranded in Florida all week with the storm. So how bad is it? I stay in Lauderdale on your business trip, and I got it under control. But I did ask a special, since I was connected to the weather, that they clear it up for this event. The driving bans are all lifted. I said a little sunshine would be nice. Cue the sunshine. But it's just a thrill to be among so many friends. But Anne, you deserve this more than anybody I know, and you're that unsung hero. And today we get to sing about you. So congratulations, Anne.
All right, Lieutenant Governor's going back to the command headquarters, and we hope you don't have so much work to do anymore on this storm. We'd now like to begin our formal program, and I'd like to start out by introducing everyone who is at the head table. We have, beginning on, as you look from the left, we have Mark W. Brown, partner at Goldberg Segalla, where he focuses his practice on business and commercial litigation. He's one of the top-rated business litigation attorneys in Buffalo, having met the stringent super lawyer selection criteria. A member of the class of 1999, he is currently president of the UB Law Alumni Association and a former president of the Gold Group. Next to him, Eileen Fleischman is the law school's Vice Dean for Alumni Affairs. She also serves as the Executive Director of the UB Law Alumni Association, which she has headed since the Alumni Association hired her as their first Executive Director in 1985. Next, we have, moving to the other side of the table, we have our wonderful law school dean. She's no longer so new. Our Dean Aviva Abramowski, the 19th permanent dean of the University at Buffalo School of Law, and the first woman to hold the position. She is an expert in insurance law, commercial law, regulation of financial entities, and legal ethics. Since her arrival at UB Law School in June of 2017, she has connected with hundreds of alumni, volunteers, and partners in the community, strengthening existing relationships and forging new ones. Next to her, of course, is Anne Ivanko, our honoree and a most worthy recipient of the Jekyll Award. Much more about you to follow, Anne. We'll see. We have next with us, of course, the provost of the University at Buffalo, Provost Charles F. Skip Zukowski. He is provost and executive vice president for academic affairs at the University of Buffalo, the second ranking officer of the university. He is responsible for leading the development and implementation of the university's academic vision. As his academic side, he is an internationally recognized scholar in chemical engineering and an accomplished leader in the public-private research partnerships. He was appointed provost and executive vice president for academic affairs in June of 2012. And lastly, at the head table is Dan Cohane, a senior member at Horowitz at Fine, PC, and a nationally recognized insurance coverage counselor. He has served as an adjunct professor of insurance law at the University of Buffalo School of Law for over 25 years. And he, most important for today, he was a law school classmate of Anne's in 1979 and, of course, law firm partner. So we'd like to welcome our head table. Next, I'd like to welcome the special guests that we have here, and this is always perilous. So if we miss someone, I'm going to ask you to not be bashful. From the University at Buffalo, we have a special guest, so we already have introduced Provost Charles Zukowski. We also have with us, not at the head table, but we were speaking earlier, we have Associate Senior Vice President for Advancement, and that's Jason Diffendorfer. Where are you, Jason? In the back? You can't leave without making a donation. That's how that one works.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. And now judges, and I hope we have identified everyone. If you will just stand when I mention your name. We have Honorable Leslie Fascio, Honorable Erin Perodato. I saw Judge Perodato. Honorable Ann Pfeiffer. Honorable Gerald Whalen. Honorable Lisa Block-Rodwin. And the most honorable federal jurist, the Honorable Elizabeth Wolford. Did I miss any of our judiciary members? All right. I've been also asked to recognize the previous Jekyll Award recipients. However, you have a program, and I figure you can figure out who's dead and who's alive and who's among us and who isn't here today. But obviously, I think everyone who's been a Jekyll awardee feels so proud of this honor, and it is really a unique award from the UB Law School and the UB Law Alumni Association. I would next like to introduce Mark Brown. I believe you have some remarks to make next. If you will welcome Mark Brown in his role here as president of the Law Alumni Association.
Thank you very much, Judge Howe. I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here today as we honor Ann Evanko. But before we get to the award, there's a few folks that I would like to recognize and thank for what they've done here today. First and foremost, our past presidents who are in the room, and I would ask if you could stand up as well. Bill Savino. Gene Powers. Lori Bloom, I believe, is here. If not, John Roy, all right. Judge Howe. Judge Lenora Foote Beavers. Terry Gilbride. Gary Graber. I don't believe I saw Gary. Thank you. And Judge Les Fascio. I believe he also runs it. So the board of the Law Alumni Association, which is the reason why I'm here, is truly a remarkable and dynamic board. And I've been involved in the Law Alumni Association, believe it or not, for 20 years after I got to law school. And Mike Wolford said, we really would like the folks who are clerking here in the 4th Department to come to this meeting. So Mike, thank you very much for introducing me to the Law Alumni Association. 2 decades later, I'm happy to be here and give this announcement. I'd never seen such a dynamic and energetic board of this board. And I'd like to, if I could, for those people who are in the room, who are members of our Law Alumni Association, if you could please stand and just to thank you for being part of our group. So I know I see a few, but I want to thank you very much. Now, that is our board. Now, for those who are not yet members of our association, please consider joining us. We have lots of great events throughout the year. And believe it or not, this association goes back to the 1890s. In fact, Bill Hochul, who's running our strategic planning group and committee, is evaluating our association. We've been here since pretty much the beginning. And it's just remarkable what we can do together. Whether it's social events, CLEs, meetings, it's really just great. And the good thing is you can get involved in many different ways. If you're a recent grad, be on part of our dynamic goal board, which Aaron Sakin is leading. So I would like Aaron, if you could stand up and recognize yourself as well for all that you do on the goal group. And then one last area I want to recognize is the Dean's Advisory Council. So for those people who are in the room, Terry Gilbride, if you don't mind standing up again, welcome you and thank you for being here. Gary Graber as well. Josephine Greco, I think, is here. Dennis McCoy. Is Dennis here? All right. Gene Powers. Of course, Aaron Sakin as our Gold Group representative. And Bill Savino. As part of the, as being president of the board here, I've had an opportunity to be an ex officio member of the Dean's Advisory Council, and I've truly seen how firsthand these individuals who I just mentioned, they're addressing some of the most important items in the school that Dean Abramowski has truly put before and charged the committee. And it's remarkable what goes on in those meetings. One of those items I would like to personally talk about is the mentoring committee, which is co-chaired by our own Ann Evanko and Bob Conklin. I don't know if Bob is here today, but it's truly remarkable the dedication that Ann and Bob and the committee is really towards this directive, which is doing anything it can to help out and mentor and guide all alums, especially those who have not yet gotten jobs. Maybe it didn't even pass the bar yet. And the time that's being given from these individuals is just remarkable. And through Ann's leadership and Bob's leadership, we're trying to do what we can to make it better, not just for those people individually, but for the school itself. So truly an amazing committee. And one one more point. I just want to say there's an event coming up, which Jen Sharp, I think you're here. Thank you for all that you're doing with the national trial competition. But next Friday and Saturday, we're looking for judges. So three hours of CLE credit on Friday the 8th and Saturday the 9th. So please consider seeing Jen. And before I go, I have 3 other people that I really want to thank. Number 1 is Patty Warrington. Number 2 is Amy Hypnarowski. If you guys can stand for a second. I don't know if you're in the back or not, but they really helped put this together. And last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank our Dean, Eileen Fleischman, Vice Dean Eileen Fleischman, who has done everything that she can and given her heart to this committee, to this group, and of course this luncheon. So thank you very much, Eileen. Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much, Mark. We would next like to hear from our UB Provost, Sikorsky, who is offering remarks on behalf of President Tripathi and the university. Please.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of President Tripathi and the University of Buffalo to welcome you and thank you for being here at the Jekyll Award luncheon that we're having. I noted when I came in the enormous level of the volume of conversation that was going on. And what that reflects to me is how tight a community we have of UB alumni who are lawyers here in Western New York. And I congratulate you on that. I think it's a tremendous sign of the power of education and the UB Law School to build such a strong group of lawyers here in Western New York. I think we should recognize that Kathy Hochul was here to honor us and to honor Anne with her presence, and we certainly are going to honor Anne more as we go forward. I've been provost at UB now for almost 7 years, and I find that we continue to undergo, with the city, just enormous change that's going on. And you are all local, so you will know about the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences that's gone up just up the road here. And that has transformed the core of the city and is bringing new dynamism into the community that expands our economy, expands healthcare delivery, and expands education. And it's a fabulous transformation that we've laid the foundation, and I expect to see it continue going forward. UB is experiencing tremendous growth just broadly at the university in the value, interest in, and getting educated here. And that's because of recognition of the value of the education that we're delivering. We've had record number of applications of incredibly well-prepared undergraduate students over the last 2 years. And this leads to my impression that the recognition of what is happening here in Buffalo and at the university at Buffalo is simply expanding across the state and around the world. We're building a large number of new educational programs at UB that are fascinating for me to watch. These programs tend to cut across disciplines. So these are educational areas. For example, the College of Arts and Sciences is growing a program in sustainability, and while they might provide an undergraduate degree, the higher level education recognizes that solving sustainability problems isn't a problem of technology, that we have lots of the technologies that we need in place to solve issues around sustainability, but it's a wickedly hard problem because it requires us to change our structure, change our narrative about ourselves, change our policies and our laws, and that's just hard for a culture and society to do. And the concept of this sustainability program that we're building is to link together the comprehensive nature of UB, where we have sort of all forms of human knowledge and expertise represented on our campus, and bring those all together in a way that begins to address questions around sustainability. Now, the UB Law School is an integral part of this and is playing an ever-increasing role by integrating itself into UB. A key example of this is the undergraduate law program that is being developed. The minor is in place, and we expect the degree to be fully accepted
Hopefully we'll be enrolling in the fall.
Hopefully enrolling in the fall. This is a almost unique program in the sense that it isn't training individuals to practice law. It is preparing them for careers where they might use law. So banks, the FBI, any number of groups that need individuals who understand the law but aren't going to practice it, individuals can come and get educated in that. And it's a fascinating program, a tremendous change for the law school, but one that I think bodes very well for both the law school and for us as a society. Another example can be found in the Center for Advancement of Sport. And this is one of the programs that I'm describing that sort of is cross-cutting and involves many different schools and departments across the entire campus. It's led by the law school, and it brings together interests in sport, whether it's the management of sport, the legal aspects of sport, the health aspects of sport, under one umbrella, and begins to link us into the community with where, after all, athletics and sport are just an enormous, I don't want to say cornerstone, but it certainly is a vital piece of our culture and leads tremendously to our economy. The law school also has several new clinics that are providing students with valuable experiential learning opportunities and collaborate across disciplines in response to lots of issues that we see here in New York. Recently, a lot of these efforts have been focused on the recovery of Puerto Rico from the hurricane, and also there's a partnership with Roswell Park in health justice. These are just a few of the programs that we have that are sort of expanding, but they build on top of this enormous foundation that you will all know about that talks about the excellent and ongoing research programs that take place with the faculty at the law school. And it's that scholarship and the quality of the faculty that we have that characterize UB's law school, of which, because you're here, I hope anyway, that you are a proud alum. Okay, so I certainly am proud. Just over a year and a half ago, Aviva joined us, as was said, as the 19th individual to be dean of the law school. And she has brought a tremendous amount of energy as the school begins to think about how to structure legal education and both for lawyers and for outside those who are practicing law. And that's in my mind, a vital thing that we as a society and culture have to think about. How are we going to deliver legal services to our society and prepare us to go forward? And Aviva has been working very hard in order to connect with you, connect with the lawyers in town, connect with the businesses in the community and across the state to build on the foundational strength that we have in the law school and take us forward. Aviva, what I found with Aviva is that she's a tremendous advocate for the rule of law as the sword and the shield of justice. And I think that's excellent. Well, I'm quoting her when I say that. And I find that is a wonderful way to characterize all the work that you do in your professional careers, and want to thank you for that. So thank you for coming today to help celebrate Anne and to help continue to build strength at the UB Law School.
Thank you, Provost Zukoski. I would now like to introduce our Dean, Dean Abramowski, who is going to update us on doings at the law school and also offer some remarks about our honoree, Anne Ivanko. Dean?
Thank you. So thank you, Judge Howe, for your incredible skills as being an MC. This is actually my first official appearance at a JCAL. Unfortunately, many of you know I was very ill last January, and I could not be here for you, Judge Howe, and I regret that. And that just made me even more nervous for this one. So, amongst other things, since I have come here, Anne Ivanko has been incredibly gracious, consistently reliable, and as I've heard from many people in this room, one word over and over again, a leader and a mentor. So, Anne, let me tell you, all of these people are here for you, not for me, And we are all here because you've done amazing things. And we know that you deserve this award, and I am proud to have my first Jekyll plaque go to you. First, thank you to Provost Zukowski and the university for their support. Him being here today shows that UB recognizes that great universities have great law schools. And this is a great law school. The university continues to be kind, continues to be dedicated, and continues to be here with us as we are part of UB. Many of you know my whole family basically went to UB. I am excited about all the things that have been here, and in a lot of ways, I believe that it is almost destined for me to have come here at this time. I couldn't be more pleased, but mostly, I couldn't have been more pleased to meet the alumni, because great law schools have great alumni. And amongst the things that distinguishes a great law school is the greatness of their alumni, but also not just in what they do at work, but their kindness and their facility to give back, their dedication to philanthropy, their consistent focus on justice, their engagement with the community, with each other, and with the world. For that, I have to say, I've met almost all of you in the room before, and every time I do it, I am grateful to have been honored with this position, and I continue to be inspired by you, but mostly by people like Anna Vanko. Thank you so much, Anne. I understand it's been more than 10 years since the Jekyll Award has been presented here in Buffalo. We decided to bring it back for you, Anne. Thank you. Anne's impact on Western New York cannot be denied. This is evident by the fact that this is a sold-out event. Everyone in this room recognizes all that Anne has accomplished and that what she represents to our community, and today is our opportunity to thank her. The Jekyll Award is our highest honor. It is given quite selectively to, quote, a person who has achieved particular renown and distinction, someone who sets themselves apart from their peers by their path to success, and someone who helps others along that path. Many of you I hope to see at many of our award ceremonies, but one day you too can be here for the Jekyll, following in the footsteps because she mentored you as she mentors me, and we all work together. Anne's path has been particularly impressive. As president of Hurwitz and Fine and a leader of numerous legal and community organizations, she has distinguished herself as someone with vision and drive. She's been named to nearly every list of top attorneys that includes the word clout, influence, or power. We also know how very few managing partners are women in law. And I have to admit, among many things, my mother was a lawyer, she was a judge. I understand how difficult this was, and I am impressed. But her real power is not just in the title she has achieved, but in how she uses her influence to encourage success and to exemplify excellence. Her career has been dedicated to creating opportunities, mentoring and guiding, and creating pathways for others. As a law school, we strive to emulate what Anne has accomplished throughout her career by providing our students with a pathway to success. And those pathways must be multidimensional, providing relevant experiences, purpose, and the support that our students need. With your help, we can accomplish all of these things. The community's help, Anne's help, and the help of alumni like her, we're creating these opportunities and equipping our students for success. Our students are learning that law is the pathway to change and to purpose. We continue to create new educational programming that provides relevant educational experience to our students, engaging them with the community. Students in our new entrepreneurial law practicum will work with local entrepreneurs and startups. Students in our new Center for the Advancement of Sport that the provost was so kind to mention will continue to work on topics such as injury prevention and concussion treatment. And our students are learning that the law is a pathway to justice. UB continues to commit itself to social justice at a time when that commitment is more necessary than ever. We are proud to report that more than 40,000 hours of pro bono service were provided by the class of 2018 alone. And as access to justice needs continue to arise, our students are at the forefront of using their experience to protect those who need it most, whether traveling to Puerto Rico to be part of the recovery and resiliency efforts, or to Texas to assist detainees seeking asylum. And we continue to provide our students with opportunities to experience justice in action and to understand its power. Because as the provost said, the law is both sword and shield. Sometimes lawyers do not get the greatest treatment in the press. You might have noticed that, right? It is possible that they focus more on the sword and the fencing and the cutting through rules. But in the end of the day, we are also a shield. We are the shield to our clients, and in a lot of ways, we are a shield to the rule of law. We are the fence that prevents society from falling off its own cliff. So our students are learning that, and the way that they learn that, most importantly, is day by day through your examples, through your reaching out, through your coming back to the school, through your judging a trial moot court, through your coming to these events, for your giving a kid a chance, for your mentoring. And Anne herself has been in charge of our mentoring program with the DAC, the Dean's Advisory Council. I cannot say how important that has been. They need to be able to hear from an established attorney that they too can make it, that this is the path. And it is not just a path to financial success, but that it is a path to righteousness, right? That through their work, they will make change, they will be changed, and they will learn both to fence and to guard. So I also want to thank a lot of you. Many of you know it went out in the alumni letter. With the support of many of you, we have launched our new 1L Summer Fellowship Initiative. We have committed, or I have committed, to raising enough money to provide a $3,000 summer fellowship to every 1L who needs it, so that they can work during their 1L summerment in government as a judicial law clerk. You see how many judges we have here. We have an amazing group of people here, and you know how critically important it is for that law student to get their first summer chance and not have to work as a security guard or a waitress, right? We need to get them on that escalator, and I am dedicated to providing them with that opportunity. And with Anne helping lead the charge, the entire legal community has joined us in our efforts to expand our mentor program, ensuring that our students are guided by those who have cleared a pathway for them. If you have not already signed up to be a mentor, Anne will find you. And I am grateful for her to that. So please double down in your giving back to this institution. Please help us be the link in the chain that leads us all to greater success. I am proud. I am grateful. Thank you for your support. Together we achieve success. And more importantly, at moments like this, we express gratitude and awe. Thank you so much, Anne Ivanko. Thank you for coming. Thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, Dean. I'd now like to introduce Dan Cohane, who I mentioned earlier, of course, is a member of Hurwitz & Fine, Anne Ivanko's partner and law firm, and they have known each other almost 40 years now, since they started UB Law School together in 1979. Dan, you're on your own here. Dan Cohane.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. We started in 1976, graduated in 79, and I have to say that I make these remarks on behalf of Hurwitz & Fine and the class of 79. We have a lot of 1979 graduates here who shared our time in law school with Anne, and each of them I know honors you, Anne, for what you have done over all these years. While some of you may not believe this, I am that old. But when I met Anne, and I met her almost the first day of law school, we had a class of about 200 students, and Anne was, we met, I don't know if she remembers, but we met in the cafeteria down in the basement of the building next to the law school where the cafeteria used to be. Anne was substantially older than me. And we've talked about that for 40 years now, and it's amazing to me that a woman of her, of her vibrance, of her intellect, of her stature, can do so at the ancient age that she is. But enough of that. I can tell you this though: when I met Anne, she had an impact on me, and I say that with all sincerity. I knew from the get-go that she was somebody of substance. She was somebody of intelligence, a clear thinker, who had an idea what it would mean to be a lawyer and what it would mean to serve the legal profession and her clients. And that had a real impact on me. And I so much so that I can remember that meeting as if it were yesterday. We chatted about law school, we chatted about life, about the past and the future, and I knew that she'd be a kind of person that we would want to have in our profession, a profession I was just joining as well. So I clerked at Hurwitz and Fine starting after my first year in law school. I wish I had $3,000 available at that time. I was earning $3 an hour, and that was pretty good pay in those days. And I stayed with the firm thereafter. When Ann and I were graduating in '79, the firm had decided to hire a second associate from that class, and I was fortunate enough to be offered a job. I had too many secrets; they couldn't get rid of me. And Ann was an applicant, and I urged her to apply for the position, and I was delighted when she was offered the job and joined the firm. And she started Labor Day in 1979, and we went through the bar prep together and all that, and of course we were admitted the same day in 1980 in Rochester. And we've worked together now for 40 years. And let me say something about her personally and about her family. Ann's husband, Tim, who's up in the front row here, has been a good friend for all those years. And I wasn't there for the birth of their three sons, but I was nearby. And Mark and Andrew and Craig, who are at this table, and their spouses and friends have been a part of my life from the beginning. And Mark works in our firm, and I don't know how he slipped in, but he is one of our litigation team, and we're proud to have him there. And it's just a wonderful family, and they are just kind to their mother. Tim, for many years served the role of a house husband when that wasn't a popular thing for men to do, and he stayed home. He had a great job in Washington. He stayed home and took care of the boys as Ann was working her way through the early part of her career. And that's a testament to Tim at a time when a lot of men weren't doing that, and a testament to the family. The Jekyll Award is bestowed on those men and women who have exemplified the highest ideals of the law school and have been recognized for their significant contributions to the law school and the legal profession. Ann has set the gold standard for leadership, for ethics, for commitment, and service to the law school, to the profession, and to the public at large. What is leadership? I had the opportunity to read a quote from John Quincy Adams. Now, Ann was around when John Quincy was president, so it wouldn't surprise me, Ann, if JQA took this after seeing you at work. And Adams said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And if that doesn't exemplify Ann, I don't know what does. Ann has all the qualities a leader possesses. Vision. She sees what is there, and more importantly, she sees what can be, and makes sure that others have the opportunity to reach what can be. And it's always about others. It's never about Ann. Motivation. She has encouraged others to greatness. And all that reflects so well in our profession and our wonderful law school. Service. Ann serves those she leads and sets the example for others to follow. In doing so, she is the ultimate professional. Empathy and understanding. Ann understands what people need and does what she can to make sure they can reach that potential, because she listens and understands and appreciates the needs of others. And creativity. Ann is one of the most creative people I've met. She looks at things through a different set of eyes, a set of eyes that allows her to see things that other people don't. And what a great testament to her that is. I could spend a half an hour just speaking about her public accomplishments in her CV and only scratched the surface of her contributions to the profession and to the community. Not only has she been a leader and mentor for women, always holding a ladder down for others to climb and reach the surface, she has been a leader of lawyers and of people in the community, all of which has reflected so well on our alma mater. Ann served as president of the Western New York chapter of the Women's Bar Association of the state of New York, an officer of New York State Women's Bar, chair of the board of Western New York Women's Foundation, a member of the board of the Greater Buffalo Partnership, president of the board of the YMCA, which he had nothing else to do. I mean, it's just YWC, of course, wouldn't have been YMCA. I made a mistake. That's the first mistake in 40 years, I want you to know. A member of the Dean's Advisory Council, as mentioned, and of course, president of Hurwitz & Fine. And as president of our law firm, following the steps of Bob Fine, who was president there before that, Ann has increased the size of our firm by about 40% or so, just since she took over as our leader, and has a great vision for our firm's growth and contribution to the community. She's been recognized for her leadership and commitment by so many groups. The Committee on Women in the Courts from the 8th Judicial District, the Achievement Award from the Women's Bar Association, the National Conference Sister and Brotherhood Award for Outstanding Leadership and Contribution to the legal community, Women of Distinction, the Girl Scouts of America. That was the Girl Scouts, right? The Girl Scouts. Got to be careful. Got to be careful. She was twice appointed by the Second Circuit to serve in a merit selection panel to recommend candidates for appointments to the U.S. bankruptcy judge. And there's so many more. Ken Joyce dropped her a note when he heard about Ann's honor and said, "You're a great example of what is good about lawyers." I don't know how you can say that any better. Ken Joyce, of course, is everybody's hero. Anybody who went to UB took a course from Ken Joyce, and he would have been here but for some health issues. And even, Ann mentioned, even sent her a bouquet of flowers today. Ken Joyce spoke so well about Ann. And Maya Angelou, the poet awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2011, said it best. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And people you have touched, including our wonderful law school, and so many out here in the audience, will never forget how you made them feel. Please join me in congratulating Ann for this wonderful award.
Thanks so much, Dan. Ann was asked to provide the names of half a dozen people who might share some insights about her. That's always dangerous. And then each one of them promptly replied with just wonderful things about Ann. And so we put together just some brief remarks to encompass all the great things that her closest friends and colleagues have said. There's been a lot of talk lately in business circles about leaning in and how women need to assert themselves so they don't get left behind. Anna Venko is way ahead of them. She was showing women how to lean in before leaning in was cool. She's done that in many ways. First and foremost, she has led by example in her career, showing us all what it looks like to do justice with passion and energy and commitment and professionalism. But over the years, Ann has given wise counsel to more than a generation of women lawyers in Western New York. Sometimes that has been informal mentoring situations. Sometimes it's over a cup of coffee or a shopping trip. And on this afternoon, when we are able to recognize her achievements, it's important to acknowledge all that Ann has meant to these women who also have become part of the fabric of our community. Because when you talk to these women, you learn that often what began as a professional relationship morphed into a friendship. And maybe that's the greatest gift of all. The kind of support that's so critical in keeping your feet under you, in working at a high level and often under very challenging circumstances. Let me start with the first comments, which are by Mary Ann Colson, Senior VP at Morgan Stanley. Mary Ann says, "For me, Ann has been a best friend and confidant. Ann's purpose is to make a difference, to ensure a positive outcome and future for others. You make a difference today, and you are creating the future." Linda Nenny, who is right up front here, remembers Ann's role in organizing the Women's Bar Association of the State of New York. Quote, "She is the consummate professional with a keen intellect, exceptional leadership skills, and also a high EQ, emotional quotient," Linda says. When I succeeded her as president of our Western New York chapter, Ann had already established the reputation of our chapter as a model within the statewide organization. She's one of the finest people I know. For Lenora Foote Beavers, who I also saw here today, Ann's influence started early, right after Lenora's law school graduation. Quote, "You encounter many lawyers as a young attorney, and it often sets the tone for the reputation you develop throughout your career," Lenora says. "I looked up to Ann and her work ethic and style to help me develop in my legal career. Because she was not shy about sharing her tips on climbing the ladder in the legal community while making sure her own family was not neglected, I was able to relate to her journey, and it gave me hope that I could do it too. I admired her for making it look so simple," Lenora said. Diane Bossy, who's here, Ann's colleague at Horowitz and Fine, points to Ann's skill at getting to the heart of the matter. Quote, "Ann never saw a problem she didn't want to solve," Diane says. "Whatever your concern, don't look to Ann to tell you what you want to hear. She'll have none of that, but you will get her honest opinion and carefully considered wise counsel, and she'll make you think it was all your idea." Ann Joint tells the story of how our honoree as a young lawyer had been promised a raise after she passed the bar. She got her bar results, found out she had passed, and telegraphed the managing partner of the firm. He was out of the country on vacation at the time. Her telegraph said, "Passed bar, send raise." Ann Joint says that really typified Ann, a woman with an excellent sense of humor who was not afraid to stand up for herself and make sure that she was given what she had earned. Ann goes on to say, "I once told her exactly what had been going through my mind as I read her story, that she is a badass." And I meant it. Unquote, Ann Joint. Ann Evenko's influence extends beyond the legal community and really to all women professionals. Sherry Chavone runs the Western New York Women's Foundation, where Ann has been a longtime leader, including in helping to revamp the group's governance structure. Quote, Sherry says, "Ann has invested in women. Knowing economic empowerment of women gives them choices, enabling them to spend more time with their families, driving growth in their economies, and inspiring others in their communities. Ann's grace, strength, and compassion have held up a torch of light, a light which she uses to light the torches of others. On this day, when we celebrate Anne's lifetime of achievements, we need to celebrate as well all those women who have grown into their calling with Anne's help. In so many ways, they have leaned in. Anne's guidance and friendship have made such a difference. Their lives are better for it, and our community is better for it. Anne, congratulations. We will now be calling on the Dean and Mark Brown to read the award proclamation and present the award to Anne Ivanko.
You want me to read it? Okay. Oh, I have to admit, this is exciting.
Okay. This is what's inscribed on the award. In recognition of her significant contributions to her law school, her community, and the legal profession, it is with great esteem, gratitude, and affection that we present Anne E. Ivanko with the highest award the law school and the Law Alumni Association can bestow. President and managing member of Hurwitz and Fine, PC, she focuses her practice on employment law, business, and commercial litigation. A trailblazer, role model, and advocate for women, she has helped women achieve professional success and respect, both in the legal and general community. As a member of the Dean's Advisory Council, she has played a key role in the recent development and expansion of the Mentoring Task Force. She has earned the respect of her colleagues and fellow practitioners for her leadership and her dedication to the law. On this date, February 1, 2019, Anne E. Ivanko is our JACO Award winner.
Anne, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, that's all I can say, really. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much for this honor. My heart is truly warmed by everyone being here, taking their time from their day to recognize the law school and to recognize me. Thank you so much. I so appreciate the support for me and for the law school. Strong relationships are the links that connect us to each other and allow us to find our path and journey forward, and to do that with the least amount of bumps and bruises along the way. We strengthen those relationships by helping others and being helped by others. I am no different. My journey is not a solo journey. I've been helped by so many, too many to mention, but I'll do my best. To UB's most recent JACO recipient, the Honorable Barbara Howe, thank you so much for your lovely remarks and for all that you do for others. A special thank you to the other distinguished members of the dais, to the Provost, Zukowski, for connecting the university as a whole to what the law school does. It's so important. And in particular to Dean Aviva Abramovsky for your leadership in moving the law school forward. To Mark Brown, who with such an active Law Alumni Association keeps the law school strong for future generations. And to the spirited and energetic Eileen Fleischman, without you, we would not ever have as much fun as we do working so damn hard. So thank you all for selecting me as this year's JACO Award recipient. I am deeply honored. to Dan Cohane. I'll get even with you later. I am not so old that I can't remember our first days at law school. But really, to my longtime good friend, partner, law school classmate, and adjunct faculty member at UB Law School, thank you for always being there for me. Without your encouragement, I might not have thought to join Hurwitz and Fine. I remember so distinctly in the fall of 1978, you talked about joining a small but cutting-edge law firm, and you said it would be open and supportive. And guess what? I believed you. As the first woman lawyer hired at the firm, and now as its managing partner, I am proud that today over 40% of our 47 lawyers are women lawyers, lawyers of diverse ethnic and racial backgrounds, and those who self-identify as LGBTQ attorneys. These lawyers are leaders in their own right. I'd be remiss without saying a thank you to Bob Fine and Shelley Hurwitz, founders of the firm, who hired and trained me in both business and litigation. As a result, I am fondly referred, I think fondly, as the hybrid lawyer, uniquely skilled because of the exposure to two different styles and practices. And a special thank you to my longtime partner, Larry Franco, whose calm demeanor and good judgment have served the firm and me so well over the years. Thank you, Larry. And of course, where would I be without my partners? Thank you to the Hurwitz and Fine lawyers who have placed their trust and confidence in my leadership over the years. Thank you. Among many paths available to me in 1976, I chose one that made a difference in my life. I chose UB Law School. The law school provided me with the foundation for my career. They say first impressions are lasting impressions. In 1976, as I climbed through mud, construction cranes, more mud, to find John Lord O'Brien Hall, I wondered what I might be missing by the decision to move the law school from downtown with its proximity to the courts and build it on acres of then undeveloped land, seemingly unconnected to community. But as I opened those impossibly heavy doors, I stepped into a different world, a world of learning, giving, sharing, and innovation. And yes, community. I realized then that it was the faculty, students, and administrators who actually kept the connection to community alive. And how did they do it? They did it through their clinics, all the pro bono work the attorneys have done, alumni activity, and service to others. When I entered the practice of law 40 years ago, the landscape for women lawyers was very different than it is now. It was not an even playing field as much as we expected and wanted it to be. So we did something about it. We carved out and created the then controversial Western New York chapter of the Women's Bar Association of the state of New York. My fan club. We networked, supported each other, became partners in law firms, bureau chiefs at the DA's office, and entered the world of politics, working to change laws unfavorable to women and children. And by doing so, we strengthened community. And we found ways within law firms to create family-friendly policies without being relegated to the mommy track with no meaningful future. Law for women has changed dramatically over the years, but it could not have been done in a vacuum. We have had strong women leaders paving the way before us, and we have strong, influential mentors who just happen to be men, who have worked hard with us to reach out and help each new generation. We must continue to create and nurture these so very important relationships. And in a nod to my friends here from the Western New York Women's Foundation, there we are. We are creating a culture of possibilities, making our community stronger by providing opportunities for others, especially for women. And finally, many thanks to my favorite fan club, and to whom I owe the most, my family. To my husband, Tim Schultz, 46 years has gone by in the blink of an eye. Thank you for always being here for me, always unconditionally, and for our children. To our 3 children, Mark, Andrew, and Craig, I know you understand that giving to others does cost something, and that something is time. I hope each of you find a way to contribute to others along your path. And we've already seen that with our son, Mark Schultz, and our daughter-in-law, Sarah, both graduates of UD Law School, members of the Law Alumni Association, and the Gold Group. I so appreciate my sister Faye Finn and her husband Steve, who live in Minneapolis, and my brother Mark Avenko and his wife Kim, who live in Indiana, for always finding a way to bridge the distance and to show their love for me. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for celebrating this wonderful moment with me. I am so truly, truly honored, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
This concludes this wonderful day. Thank you to everyone for being here. Eileen Fleischman says there's still another course to be served. Dessert is arriving at your table shortly if it hasn't, and if you have the time to stay and enjoy Mazel Tov. Thanks so much.